So hello everyone, welcome to our Texas Women and Girls in STEM Summit preview. I am super excited to have so many of our presenters joining us today to share this presentation and to share this information with you about our upcoming summit. We have a great lineup for the summit, and so you're going to get to hear today. So let me tell you just a little bit about the Texas Girls Collaborative Project before we get started. So our mission is to connect and support organizations and individuals across the state of Texas who are working to get more girls engaged in STEM. And one of our initiatives is the Million Women Mentors effort, which is part of the National Million Women Mentors effort, which is designed to connect STEM mentors and volunteers with students to really increase that interest in STEM and the confidence in girls to persist and succeed in STEM programs. So our webinar series is one part of what the Texas Girls Collaborative Project is doing across the state. We also participate in or host regional networking forums. We have Google groups across the state in different regions where STEM folks can share what's going on in their spaces. We have leadership teams around the state. We have a volunteer matching system called Texas STEM Connections that we'll showcase at the end of this webinar. And then we do a number of things to disseminate best practices and resources. And the one coming up is our Texas Women and Girls in STEM Summit on December 6th. And we have a monthly e-newsletter, this webinar series, and then workshops that we do as well. Lots of ways to get engaged. Today, we're talking about the Texas Women and Girls in STEM Summit. And so here's your lineup for today's presentations. We have these 7 different presentations that will be featured at our summit coming up in December. And you're going to get just a snippet today from each of them to hear a little bit about what they're going to be talking about and doing at the summit. So hopefully it will get you excited about the day and get you excited about coming and participating. At the end of the webinar, we'll have some time for questions and answers as well. And you can use the chat box there in Adobe Connect for questions that you have along the way. You'll also be able to unmute yourself at the end and ask questions if you have them. And we'll then wrap up with a few reminders about some resources that you have at your fingertips, as well as some additional upcoming events that might be of interest to you. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Kim for our first presentation highlight.
Hi everyone, my name is Kim Collins. I'm from the Andrews School for Young Women Leaders, and I have been participating in interdisciplinary projects and STEM or STEAM-based projects for pretty much most of my 16 years as a teacher. And I want to talk to you today about cities in space, of which I'm really passionate about. You want to go to the next slide, please? So I want to talk to you about passion and inspiration. Whenever you're doing a STEAM interdisciplinary project, you have to be really proud. You have to find your passion in it. You have to be inspired by what you're doing, and that's how you get the students involved. And so a lot of my inspiration has come from my research experience for teachers at University of Texas. I've been a mentor and a head teacher for United Space School, and this all started with a Cities in Space competition that I went to 5 years ago. And it's kind of been born from all of these different experiences and how I brought them into the classroom. And I've gotten other teachers really excited about being able to participate in this project. I thought at first I was going to have a hard time getting other teachers involved and getting them to jump on board with making this a interdisciplinary unit for our entire 8th grade class of 150 girls. And it was actually surprisingly easy. You know, not a lot of them had a background in any type of space or engineering or anything. And so when I started talking to them about what they could potentially do within their subject area, this is where the excitement started. Thinking about research and giving the girls choice in what they wanted to research and where they wanted to go, and providing some very clear collaboration methods for the teams to work together. And then also the opportunity experiences that we're giving the students in conjunction with this project has just really provided that inspiration for our girls to look beyond Earth at where their future could go. And I hope to see you guys on the 6th for the rest of my session.
Thank you, Kim. That's a great starting highlight. So we're going to move on and turn it over to Andrew.
Good afternoon, folks. And so what you're seeing on screen are some of the girls that I've had the pleasure of coaching in robotics the last couple of years. And so we choose to participate in the first continuum of programs here at Lutheran High School. And there's the first Lego League and things that start as early as 3rd and 4th grade, go up to 8th grade. And then First Tech Challenge is what we do here is for maybe 8th through high school age students. And then the First Robotics is the original program, which is larger robots and requires more resources and funding. But we're doing First Tech Challenge. We have currently 2 teams, a varsity boys and a varsity girls. This is our 3rd season, and so you'll see a quote down there on the bottom where, and these are not anecdotal quotes that I put on there. First has been around since the mid-90s, and they've partnered with Brandeis University and a 3rd person funder to do longitudinal studies. They're probably in their 3rd longitudinal studies, and so these things have come out from that. And so first, like many things, if you are doing engaging STEM activities with boys and girls, you're going to be having lots of positive impacts, and that is borne through the evidence here on what you're seeing there on the screen. And if we can go to the next slide, there's a couple more quotes there as well. But so what's somewhat unique at our school is that instead of embedding the girls on a co-ed team, what I have found, because I've been doing robotics with students since the early 2000s, like maybe 2001 was when I coached my first team in a different position, is that the engagement level in their experience goes up exponentially if they're on a team of a single gender, and I'm talking about the girls. They're more likely to put their hands on the tools or engage in the coding versus if they're embedded on a mixed gender team, that they tend to let the boys handle some things, but that's not an option there. And so that's what we've done here, and it should not be something that would be abnormal. And proof that it is still out of the norm is we take our teams and we do different presentations and things like that. And after the girls give their talk and we open it up to questions, immediately for men and women, some of the first questions they ask the ladies is, why did you choose to be on a robotics team? And when the boys finish giving their talk, those questions don't come up. And so this is still some of these lingering effects in the society of gender roles in STEM and things like that. And so I think you have to kind of force the issue and do these all girls teams and things like that. And so at the talk, if you're able to make it up to the summit, I will do less talking, and we will have 2 current students on the team that'll travel up with me. And then we'll also have 2 of our alumni members who are both students there in STEM disciplines there at UT Austin. So I'll just do a quick introduction about things and let them give some of their reflections, and then we'll open it up for questions as a panel discussion. Hope to see you there.
Awesome. Thank you, Andrew. And we're going to now turn it over to Carmen.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Carmen Cruz, and we are based out of New Braunfels, Texas. And just a little bit about me. I worked out in the Houston area for over 10 years. I've done formal and informal education, worked downtown doing some makerspace curriculum. So I've kind of been all over the place, and most recently I left higher education to kind of pursue my passion, which is assisting K through 20 students. So at this workshop at the summit, we will be doing various different things. Next slide, please. We'll be featuring two different activities. One of them is coming out of our Positively Buzzing STEAM. You'll see in this slide we were making some buzzing robots. you will have an opportunity to do some buzzing robots. They won't necessarily be the ones in the slide, but they will be very similar. And all of our curriculum is engineering design. It has the engineering design process. We do have the Texas TEKS embedded. It is linked to NGSS. We do, being a formal dual language teacher, I do make sure to integrate the ELPs. We want to make sure that we're servicing all students. Underrepresented students, they can understand this content, but we do need to make sure that we're applying some differentiation in the classroom. So you'll get a little bit of that in that lesson. And then, of course, I'm a big fan of thinking maps because that does make that language comprehensible for the learner. So we'll be applying a little bit of that as well. And then I do want to emphasize that all of our activities are vertically aligned to the Texas TEKS. And so this activity in particular will really hit those 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade science, mathematics, and engineering TEKS. So do come on out and, spend some time with us. Next slide. And then our next lesson that we'll be featuring is Flying High. With middle school students, we really want to focus on that math, especially, that's where the learning gaps begin to formulate in these students. So we really want to focus on those gaps. And so with Flying High, we'll be doing a Flying High activity where you'll be making something that obviously has some acceleration. It's got some different ways that you can test it in the classroom. You can test it outside. The most important thing about this is students are engaged. They're participating in collaborative learning, and they're just the experience becomes not just learning, but also fun to the point where instead students are telling you, oh, I like doing science, instead of being disengaged. All too often in middle school we see where that disengagement happens. So we really want to make sure that we're hitting those TEKS in a way where these students can still make that learning, make those real world connections, but at the same time have fun with them. And then next slide. So again, with First Gen Scholars, we do have 4 areas of focus. We focus on teacher retention. We really want to train new teachers to really go out there and engage these students and empower them to become those 21st century learners through hands-on activities. And then another area of focus, I know that Andrew mentioned first, we focus a lot on middle school girls in tech. We want to make sure that these girls are exposed to computer programming. We do work with various FIRST organizations throughout the San Antonio community. We want to make sure that these girls are, making sure that they're grasping those technology skills, that girls can code as well. And then obviously, once they get to high school, we want to make sure we empower these students to we mentor them and really help them with gaining access into college and how can they get there with a lesser burden of debt. And so, again, come on out. We are excited to be featuring 2 of our very engaging activities, and we hope to see you there.
Thanks, Carmen. Oops. All right. So, again, this is Tricia Berry with the Texas Girls Collaborative Project, and our University of Incarnate Word folks were unable to join in for the webinar today, but sent some slides to give some previews and highlights of what they'll be presenting on at the summit. So it's my pleasure to present their slides. First up is Mini Gyms, Girls in Engineering, Math, and Science. And you can see on the slide here that this is a program designed for middle school girls to get them excited and empowered in the field of STEAM. And it is serving underserved communities in the San Antonio area with programming and coding and robotics, nutrition, which has a nice mix in there, as well as teamwork. And one of the things that they have really found through this program that is specifically targeting the middle school girls is that they really help the girls gain that confidence in understanding and exploring and problem solving in those STEAM spaces, and that their self-efficacy, their belief that they can be those engineers and scientists has increased by the end of their camp. So at the summit, they will be talking about what is included in their camp curriculum, how it proceeds throughout the week, and some of that data, the metrics on how they are measuring the impact on the girls that are participating. So Mini Gems from the University of Incarnate Word. Also from the University of Incarnate Word is Mega Gems. So this is the program for high school girls. So a nice transition from mini gems into mega gems. And again, it really helps girls explore science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. This is a 2-week camp. It continues on with the teaching of coding, nutrition, team building. And they also have a longer, more in-depth research camp that is a part of this that helps students explore research and what does that mean and how do you collect data and how does this impact our world. And again, really impacts the girls' lives in their self-efficacy, helps build that confidence, helps make sure that they can see themselves in those STEM spaces down the road. These are also programs that are adapted along the way and adjusted to be a little more innovative as they go along. The girls are involved in that process, which also helps them stay engaged. So again, at the summit, you'll hear about Mega Gems and how that curriculum is impacting girls' lives and how that might apply to the work that you are doing. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Erin so we can hear about their presentation.
Excellent. Thank you, Tricia. Can everyone hear me okay?
You're great.
Okay, excellent. I was about to get nervous. Okay, so what I'd like to share with you guys is, or just before I get into that, I'll introduce myself, but I'm a reliability engineering and asset strategy management consultant based out of Austin, Texas. I've been in consulting for about 2.5 years, but before moving to Austin, I actually worked in the petrochemical industry for about a decade and had some opportunities to be an official and unofficial mentor, working as an advisory board member for a magnet school's engineering program, and also as within the company that I worked for, one of the diversity liaisons for our site. And so what I'll be sharing in this presentation is observations from the past decade, briefly break down where our diversity efforts may have opportunities for improvement, and also share examples of partnering with my organizations on the small gains and the larger improvements. Okay, you can go to the next slide. So often we talk about, from a diversity perspective, we highlight the strides that we've made in diversity, and those strides are great. What I'll be posing actually is that it's great to increase the pipeline, but we also want to make sure that we're plugging any leaks in the pipeline to help improve that retention. And so part of what I saw observationally, and then also just looking at some of our statistical data from hires in terms of women and underrepresented minorities when I was in the larger company, was that we had this risk of a revolving door of diverse hires, where the people who we were bringing in as part of the pipeline were just replacing people who looked like them, because we didn't necessarily have the most inclusive environment in terms of different needs and perspectives, and sometimes even accommodations that were required. And so what I'll be challenging our group is that as female employees, that we partner with our corporations and with our leadership, with our team, to help steward that change that's required by, one, stating our needs. So there will be some examples from, there will be some information from a couple of books that have measured or provided statistical backing to the fact that women in STEM and really outside of STEM, we just don't ask for a lot of things, or we disqualify ourselves preliminarily, or prematurely rather. And so how we can partner with our organizations to plug those leaks with small changes and the bigger reforms. And then also immediate adjustments, or recognizing that immediate adjustments may be necessary, and also the longer term reforms to make sure that we're really closing the gap and really closing the loop on correcting what needs to be corrected. Okay, go to the next one. And so the thing that I wanted to highlight today is just as inclusion partners, that part of what we can do for our organizations is offer perspective. because there may not have been a reason to consider a different approach ever. And one of the examples that I give is that when I went on maternity leave, I was actually the first person in our technical, or it was the first time in our North America team that someone on the technical side had to go on maternity leave. It had always been someone under the administration umbrella. But also being honest, or being willing to be honest with yourself and with others about your concerns, your needs, your red flags. And those are the things that help us to bring our whole self to work. And then making the request or stating the need, not assuming ill intent, but recognizing also that the first request may be the start of the conversation and not the end, whereas sometimes what we see is that women will ask, or they'll state the need, and the answer might mean no, but our male counterparts might be more willing to be more persistent about needs. And then celebrating those quick wins and holding for the long term. So I'll give some examples of my Petrochem past, and then also ways that I've been able to partner with the organization that I'm a part of now to help make sure that we're being more inclusive. So I hope to see you guys there.
Fantastic. Thank you, Erin. Thank you to all of our preview presenters today. Hopefully you can see we have a wide variety of perspectives and sessions and presentations that will be happening. So I'm going to tell you just a few more things just to wrap up. This is my friendly reminder about some of the resources that we have available from Texas STEM Connections to our summit. Texas STEM Connections is our online volunteer matching portal. So I think about this as like our volunteermatch.com to match STEM professionals with STEM volunteer opportunities throughout our communities. So if you're an educator or someone who's looking for STEM volunteers, this is a great place you can go and look for them and put in requests for in-person or virtual volunteers. And it's a great place for STEM professionals to go find those volunteer opportunities in our communities. This is what it looks like. Again, it's a way to connect up with in-person or virtual opportunities. And it's all free on the in-person side. Virtual requests eventually do have a cost affiliated with them because of the back-end support that is needed through the system. But all of the in-person matching is all free. I also like to remind everyone about FabFems, which is an online STEM role model database that features female STEM role models from all across the country, and we're always trying to get more of our Texas STEM role models in the system, but this is also a great place to point students who are trying to explore different STEM fields. It's got a great keyword search, and searching on ethnicity, on field of work, on location are all also options. And the volunteers in the system have the opportunity to connect directly with people through email or might be able to host job shadowing opportunities. So again, a great place to connect with STEM role models. Our upcoming events, as we've mentioned, and as was the highlight for today, we've got the STEM Summit coming up on Friday, December 6th. And registration is available for that on our txgcp.org website. Following that, on December 7th, the Texas Girls Collaborative Project is participating in the UT STEM Professional Development Day, and we'll be doing a SciGirls workshop during that event. There are, I think, 23 or so workshops that are happening throughout the day from a variety of different organizations and programs across the University of Texas at Austin campus. So another opportunity to take advantage of some great professional development. And then the following week, on Tuesday, December 10th, we'll do something similar to what we've had here. It'll be a little bit longer, and we'll feature, once again, some highlights from our summit with some flash talks. We'll feature our Stand Up for STEM awardees and give another opportunity for some of our presenters to be able to share a little bit about their work and ways that you can get engaged or find out more. So with that, I will throw it out to our participants. If there are any questions, you can unmute yourself. You can also put questions into the chat box. And other